Are you saying you faked with me?
Yeah.
Wrong. Now you're single.
What do you know about sexual relations?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
You're listening to the Come With Us podcast, talking the good, the kinky, and the ugly. Here are your hosts, Beth, Aaron, and Tina.
Hello, 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 all you sexy holes and poles. Welcome to Come With Us podcast, where you're part of all the naughty, sexy, fun conversations that everyone wants to listen in on. And today, oh my goodness, have you ever wondered what it's really like to be at a strip club? And I don't mean just to be a visitor at the strip club, but I mean to work at the strip club. And I'm sure there's a proper PC word and everything like that, and we're going to get to it and stuff. But from my standpoint, I'm like, tell me more. Well, today's guest, Tabitha, is with us today, and she has worked in strip clubs for I don't know how long. We'll get into it. We'll get into how and why, but she's amazing and smart, beautiful, incredible. I have so much respect, and she's got so many stories that just I can never get enough of. So I'm Beth Darling, your sexy genius, here today from BethDarling.com, and here with Aaron and Tina. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Are you guys excited to hear what it's like to work in a strip club?
Yeah, super excited. Definitely a unique perspective.
Yeah,
from the inside.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting because I know a couple of guys who've worked in male strip clubs.
Really?
No, I mean they. Anyway, we'll get down to that story later on. But I don't know from the female perspective, it kind of. I'm not gonna say creeps me out, but it just makes me think of like, dudes are weird.
Oh, so
we're just a weird.
Yeah, so you kind of feel sorry for the women, don't you?
Not even sorry. It's like I don't know. Like,
ooh,
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm straight. I don't know, but it's like I think of like dudes like throwing money and stuff. And I'm like, well, one, we've already established that I'm cheap as hell.
Yes.
Like the 2 times I've been to a strip club, I mean, the first time I spent a whole $200. I walked in with $200 and I spent $140.
Wow. Okay. See, yeah.
And then the second time I didn't spend anything. I was just there to be somebody's DD to make sure that I didn't wake up the next morning and get a phone call that they were dead.
Designated driver. Okay. That's
good. But like both times I left and I was like, dude, who's like spending money on that? That's just money you're not going to see anymore.
Oh, all right. Well, so that's one of the things we want to know. And I'll just point out for those of you listening, Aaron's got a grin and some bright red spots on his cheeks. He's blushing already. So it's kind of cool.
I mean, I've never shied away from telling those stories. I'll tell anybody in the world I've been to a strip club twice. They usually ask me questions and they go just twice, or then they hear the stories and they're like, oh, those aren't very good stories. I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't talk about it all the time.
Well, welcome, Tabitha. Thank you so much. You can tell we're so excited. So, tell I guess we'll start.
How long
at the
have you
beginning.
Been working in a? Okay, do we want to start? No, how long have you been doing it first?
For about 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want us to call it something besides a strip club?
Yeah, that was where I was going to go.
I really don't. I'm not trying to insult or anything. Like
No, it's okay.
I just like the terms.
A lot of times I've worked in places, they don't call them strip clubs, they call them gentlemen's clubs. And there are some places where it's I think you have different levels of clubs. So there are places where it's like, yeah, this is a strip club. This is just a strip club.
There's nothing gentlemanly
about
this.
There's nothing gentlemanly.
That clientele doesn't even know how to spell the word gentleman. There's not a gentleman established.
Exactly.
Which that's funny because like when like I remember to the specific point where the world started like flipping the PC switch and they're like, well, we're going to call them gentlemen's clubs. And I was like, when I hear gentlemen's clubs, I think of like the Titanic of like dudes with a fucking $3,000 bottle of scotch.
But I think that's
cigars.
The point. That was the point. It's like it was a rebranding.
But then you go inside and you're like, oh, no.
Yeah, that's a pretense, right?
But they kind of wanted to make it like, oh, it's a place where men can hang out.
Yeah, it was.
Men can have a steak. You can hang out with your friends, have a scotch, and then watch some women take their clothes off.
It's a verbal push-up bra. It makes you think something that's not there.
A verbal push-up bra. Oh, okay.
All about that scaffolding.
I like that.
Yeah, it's 100%. It is. It's just the level of facility you go into.
Yeah.
And it's and again, like a lot of gentlemen's clubs, men go there, especially during the daytime, and they expect good conversation. They just want company. They don't. I mean, a scantily clad woman is always acceptable, but at the same time, like it's just a different vibe.
Yeah.
When you go to a gentleman's club versus a strip club.
Yeah. I would say there is
Yeah.
certainly different levels, maybe like to delineate, like different, like certain types of clubs that are probably more like upper tier versus like lower tier,
Yeah, I'd say the difference between sort of a nice, a
Right.
nice bar or a neighborhood pub and a dive bar, right?
Right.
Just the same
Yeah.
way. And
I mean, like,
could
what
be.
is your
So, okay.
favorite slang term for a strip club?
Oh gosh. Well, we used to call strippers peelers. Like they peel off their
Yeah.
clothes. So we just call them peelers.
Oh,
But I don't, yeah, I'm trying to think of, I don't have any
peelers. I like that.
peelers.
Do you have offense to the word titty bar?
No.
Okay.
That's what a lot of people here love to call it.
That's
And
that's what I
it's
grew
so
up hearing what
cute.
them called.
It's
Like,
very, very,
yeah.
I
It's
don't
like
know.
Southern.
Yeah,
I feel like
It is. Yeah.
I think titty bar though started because they could only show that, and they had to kind of keep their pubic area covered or something. Wasn't that
Well,
part
yeah,
of it?
and-
Was
okay,
that
so
that was
yeah. As we've addressed before, we record out of Texas, and in Texas, a topless bar is going to be 21 and up. A full nude bar, which are to most people, they look down on them. The full nude bars are 18 and up, and usually don't serve liquor. It's usually BYOB.
I didn't
In
even know
Texas.
there
I
were
have
full
Yes.
nude bars. I have
Yeah.
obviously.
There's trust me,
Well,
I've been to a
never
full nude bar. You don't want to.
There's
No,
like,
but
And that's not a
Yeah, because the
Like-
rules, they have to go out of their way, and that's why they can't serve alcohol. Like it's membership, and it's like a swingers club where there are certain rules that they're just kind of skirting. So
And it's-
anyway,
I
but
mean,
yeah,
well, okay.
it's a whole difference.
Maybe somebody wants to go to one. If you do, all means. The one that I went to, between the clientele and everything, just the environment, like it felt sticky.
Mm.
Like you know how like not like that kind of sticky either.
Oh.
Like
That's what I was
okay.
thinking.
So
the worst place.
okay, so y'all lived
Spooky
out,
thinking.
y'all lived
Yeah.
here for a while.
Yeah.
You know how you get out of the car in Galveston and it's so humid from
Yes.
the ocean, it's sticky. The air
Yes.
is sticky. That's how it feels on the inside.
Yeah.
Like it feels like the air is just thick.
Yeah, because it's not.
It's like, I like it shouldn't be humid inside of a building with AC running. What the hell are y'all doing here? It was
Yeah.
weird.
Well, so I think it's safe to say, because Tabitha, you are college educated.
Yep.
Graduate school, actually.
Mhm.
Like you are smart as shit, actually. It's just like, it's a difference. So I don't imagine that you've worked in the really lower places, right?
No, I didn't. I didn't
Yeah.
work in the strip clubs. I worked in gentlemen's clubs. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's no, what, there's everybody who works in one of those places has a different way of doing business. So
Yeah.
by no means is it to look down upon somebody who works in a strip club or in a full nude place. Just because I haven't done it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just a different business model than I had. Because I am educated, and I'm more than happy to talk to somebody. I'm more than happy to wear lingerie and sit and talk to somebody who's going to pay me copious amounts of money.
That's why you're off
God.
camera right now.
That's
Like-
exactly it. Yes.
Like, yeah.
And the thing is that it's if you are more comfortable just taking your clothes off and guys want to throw money at you for that, then that's just, more power to you.
I know. I'm like, if I thought that I could take my clothes off and people would throw money at me,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be all over that. I mean, let's just be fair. There's skill, and to keep them coming back. So anyway,
And I think it's
there's no down. We're not putting anybody
Yeah.
down. We just want to make sure, right? Our deal, consent.
Yes.
Right. So when we're not talking about people being sex trafficked, we're not talking about people who are so desperate that they're doing something against their own moral judgment. That's not cool. That's not good for them. But if they want to and they own it and they're making money on it, yay them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean your phrasing and the words you chose actually outline it perfectly, because you say that's not their, like, that wasn't your business model. And the way you, like, we were talking about this before we recorded, is that like each different performer is basically kind of like a subcontractor, right? So they get to run the business, like their personal, I'm just going to use a name. It's going to sound, I am Diamond. This is the Diamond business. And this is how I run my stuff. Like it's very, and you're very educated, and I've met other strippers who are educated, or dancers or entertainers who are educated. And I've also met ones who didn't get formal education, but they could outtalk a 3-letter word at an oil company right down here, and they could talk circles around them on how to run a business. And you just go, oh shit, like you've actually experienced it. You know how to turn a profit. You know how to take supply and demand and make that a profit to you.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. It's impressive to see women who are just so good at this job and really watch them thrive, because there are some that are cutthroat, and it's impressive because I could never, I just never saw myself. I was never I never had that. I was never that aggressive. I thought I'm going to come in and I'm hoping I make, X amount of dollars a night. And I remember one night I went in and I made $1,000 and I'm like, I'm going home. My goal was $1,000. I'm going home.
In how long?
I think it was about 3 hours.
Okay.
So I was there for a little bit.
Okay. And let's
A little bit.
And let me
Titanic
also point
was
out,
longer than that.
touche.
and what?
And I didn't even go down.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
My God.
So that's-
Holy crap.
But let's be fair though. Also, your business model doesn't include having sex in back rooms and stuff with people.
Correct.
So this $1,000 wasn't even actually sex. This was
no. It was me.
What did you do to make it?
Witty banter, some nice shoulder massages, and just having conversation and doing some dances. Yeah, absolutely. But it was the right client walked in, and that's what they wanted. And I happened to be there at that time and walk by at just the right time. So much about this job is timing.
Well, but you had to know what to do, because I could have walked by and talked with, again, what to do. But the way that you dance, the way that you approach them, the way that you keep their interest and keep them giving you money.
Well, it's I think it's a
skill.
combination, right? Like right place, right time kind of thing. But you also have to have the rapport. You have to be able to know what this person, to read them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Connect. Yeah, very good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so you made your $1,000 in 3 hours, and then what?
Yeah, and so I was getting ready to leave because I think it was about at 10 or 10:30 at night. So I and a lot of the heavy hitters were getting there because it was a Saturday night. So they're all in it and they're ready for the long haul because the club closes at 4 a.m. So they're there till then.
Wow.
Which I was never a fan of that idea because that was just terrible. I need my sleep. And so I was getting ready to leave, and one of the girls goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Well, I made my goal. I'm leaving for the night. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna eat some frozen yogurt and get some sleep." Like, I was super excited. And she's like, "No, girl, you gotta hustle like you didn't make $1, because you may come in next week and not make $1." And it's just a different mindset.
Wow.
And again, I have a 9-to-5 day job that I was working. So it wasn't my only income source either, but that was her mindset was the mindset of a lot of the entertainers there.
Well, I mean, it sounds, and it's a lot like I've done sales before, like working on sales and commission.
Yep.
Like, hey, yeah, like I could easily take this weekend off, or I could come up here and I could sell my ass off, and I could make sure that if next week the entire world goes to shit and the economy crashes, hey, I've got a paycheck that will last me an extra 2 weeks, kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, Aaron would never leave after 3 hours. Like, he would be like, no, I got to milk it.
But
right?
that's
That's who you are. And
not
that's
only
cool.
that, I would also like, and props to you, I probably, because I love sleep too, I probably would have gone home and I wouldn't have been able to sleep because I'd have been thinking like, how much extra, like, could I have actually like walked out of there with like 1,500 or like 2,000 or 3,000? Like, how much money did I leave on the table for just like an extra couple hours? Like, what the hell is wrong with me, kind of thing. So
yeah,
I'm very weird.
No, I see that way of thinking 100%. It's valid. I just think the truth is that you could be there for another 3 hours and make nothing.
Yeah.
So
it also helps that you had, like you said, you had a regular 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and a bright future, which
Yes.
that is key, right? When you're just thinking this is all you're going to have, and at some point looks and whatever are going to make it difficult, or one accident away. So, but okay. So given that you have all of this and you're beautiful, how did you get into this? Right? Because it seems like people would say, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this? Right? This is the perfect opportunity.
Yeah, it was out of necessity, really, because my partner got fired or let go, and we were used to a 6-figure income from that job, which we no longer had, and all of a sudden I had a 9 to 5 that wasn't paying that great, and we had debt. So this was a quick way of getting cash where I could work hours outside of the hours I was working the day job. And that's what this is, or that's what it was.
And how did you exactly get like introduced and trained, or did you have any of that, or you just walked, like, did anyone guide you into like through the process?
No, it was really interesting. I did go dancing when I was in grad school, so I would dance, and although I was wearing kind of fun little clothes, I wasn't wearing a lot, but I was always clothed, and so I was used to dancing on a pole in front of crowds, and that was fine. But this, we've gone
I wish I could dance, but go ahead.
We'd been to strip clubs together, and we had fun with them, and it was always sexy. I've always liked women. I always thought women were beautiful, men were functional. So it works.
You're not lying.
Okay.
And so I'd been in them before. When I did apply for the job, I went in saying, "Oh, well, I could waitress." And the manager at the time, he said to me, "Well, if you waitress, you have to work certain hours, certain shifts. But if you're an entertainer, then you have to, then you can come and go as you please." And I said, "Oh, well," because I only had limited hours I could work. And I said, "Well, I've never been a stripper before." And he goes, "Well, we don't hire strippers, we hire entertainers." And I said, oh, okay then. And that was really, and he said, "Yeah, the manager comes in at this time who does the hiring. So bring your shoes, bring your clothes, and come put on a show." And so because I'd never been an entertainer before, they wanted me to go to a strip club. They wanted me to go to their sister club. And I said, for all intents and purposes, I want the gold standard. I don't want second best.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they wanted you to, I thought you meant they wanted you to go to
go
watch.
observe.
They wanted you to go.
No, they wanted me to go to
there.
their other club that.
Oh, they wanted you to go to the minor league and then get promoted to the majors.
They didn't want me to start in the majors.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Different.
It's like I all of a sudden decided to run and decided I would go to the Olympics, and that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
And the manager said, "Look, I'll do you a solid. I'll let you go on stage and see how you do." Yeah. And I was comfortable on the pole because I'd taken several years of pole classes. So I had fun. Yeah. I was not thrilled to take my top off. I'm not going to lie, because I had 3 songs, and the third song, they're like, "You got to take your top off." And I was like, it took me a moment to really get comfortable with that idea. But you know what? I kind of let it go pretty quickly. And I got the
3.5 minutes. That's not a lot of time to like be on the fence and be like, "Oh God, what about like 3.5 minutes goes by like that." And any guy who's been in a strip club seeing a lap dance knows it even better. But like
time is relative.
As a radio person, 3.5 minutes when you have to go get your coffee, reheat your meal, and go to the bathroom, and then get back to talk again. All of a sudden you're like, holy crap, did anybody realize how fast 3.5 minutes goes?
Yeah, except 3.5 minutes of dead time on air is
forever.
And that's what it could feel like if you're taking.
I had 6 or 7 minutes to contemplate taking my top off in front of this room of strangers, and that was a little bit heavy. But
was it like a packed night, or was it?
No, because it was still fairly early. It was around 9:30 on a Saturday, and so again, the club that I started at didn't get really busy until usually around 10 or 11, because people go out to dinner and then they would go to the club, or they go drinking someplace and then they'd be like, "Hey, we're drunk enough. Let's go to the titty bar." And then, ta-da! Yeah. So yeah,
that's
and then we're going to see Tabitha's titties. So how did you get comfortable with it?
I don't really know. Truthfully, because for the first, I want to say year, every time I would get on stage, I'd have little butterflies in my belly. But I was really good on poles. So I just thought, if you're really good at just the stage show, then they won't care that you have, a flat chest, or they won't judge your body. And it was ridiculous, because I came to learn that there was just all different shapes and sizes of women in there. And I just had to let go of my insecurities, because somebody always found me beautiful. And at the very least, it was myself. Mm-hmm. So,
okay. So I think it's so interesting, though, because I was expecting it to be, I didn't think it was going to be about you feeling insecure about your boobs. I was thinking it was like, other people are going to see. Right. Other people are going to see, or I don't think this is, again, moral or ethic or something. Oh. And no, it was just human insecurity. That's so, it's so interesting. So I'm glad. So the whole thing was comfortable for you in terms of, from your whole standpoint of, sure, this is okay.
Yeah.
What about your partner? How did he handle the idea of you going and showing your beautiful breasts to others?
He was not thrilled at first. But we had some conversations. And the truth is that we had conversations because I was naive going into it, not thinking about what happens in the back rooms. And what happens for other women with other business models. And so it was really, really eye-opening.
Did he tell you? Like, did he know
told
what
me.
happened?
Well, he himself, I don't believe he'd ever been to any of the back rooms, but I know that a good friend always loves to go to the champagne rooms or the back rooms. So
you know what we'll say? Like, I want to hear stories about that, but we're gonna do that in the next episode, just so everybody has to listen to the second one.
Okay,
But
right,
yes, we can keep talking about this.
Yes.
But I want actual champagne room stories or rumors now.
God, yes.
Now in the next episode. Anyway, sorry.
I
Go
love
ahead.
the way your cheeks are red again, by
Like-
the way. It's so cute.
That was just a business, like a
Yeah.
programming idea that comes to me, and that's what I like to do.
Yes,
brilliant. There was definitely some solid conversation, and he was not thrilled. But I think that once we reached the idea of clear communication and honesty and openness, and the boundary was I would not go in the back rooms, then he felt good about it. Because I'm out and about. He knows that the last thing I was going to do was offer sexual favors.
Did he ever come visit you at work
No, so partners aren't allowed.
at all?
No, not while I'm working, or not while their
did they
partner's working.
know 100% that who he was?
So I
though?
had to list his name, and I don't know that. I think
Like,
he
how
probably.
great is the doorman that he's paying attention to everybody's name on their ID?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. I just think that they have you write the name, and if this person shows up and they make drama, I think they just don't want drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
They don't
that's
want
just
like
it.
exes to come in.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, and they don't want somebody getting jealous.
Well,
And
I know that
yeah,
that too.
so-
I just
Yeah.
like, to me, like, I'm not. I've established I am the jealous type, so
Right.
I don't think if my wife came to me and was like, "Hey, this is I think what we should do to make extra money," I'd be like, like, I'll go back to turning wrenches again. I don't care.
would you
Um,
get on stage first? If there was a choice between one of you doing it, would you dance?
I mean, I would
Assuming you could
attempt,
dance. Yeah.
but like,
That's what I thought. You would. Be
I would
okay.
make not nearly as much money. Like, I would probably
Right.
they would probably be telling me, "Hey, you have to pay for me to actually watch you
Yeah.
dance," like that kind of a thing. But yeah, like if I
Yeah.
had to fall on that sword, yes, I would.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, my thought process is like, if I were comfortable enough knowing my significant other was doing that, I kind of would want to see, like, and
I'm
if
with
I
you. I'd
weren't
be
the jealous
curious.
type, I would love to sit in the back and just like watch you work one night and just like watch you dance and all that stuff and be like, dude, that's really cool.
Like,
and then,
like,
like-
that's my fucking Ferrari right there.
Like,
Everybody's
I wouldn't sit
drooling.
there and I wouldn't
She's
sit there and
going home with
broadcast
me.
it, but I
Right.
would sit there. But I would,
that would be
like,
my feeling.
if that was what my if
Yeah.
that was what my significant other did, and I wasn't the jealous type, I would be like, yeah, let's, like, I'd love to observe you working just to see how it goes.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Well, we talk about having him come in one night and go into the back room, just as kind of a fun thing for us to do. So
With another woman.
no, just
Oh,
with
just the two
us.
of you.
Yeah, like if
Oh.
I'm working and he can feel like he's
yeah.
balling. And so
Yes, you could raise your rates.
Yeah, my rates are gonna
Yeah.
go sky high that
Uh-huh.
night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do y'all have, like, I know now that they make like poles for every, like, you can install one in your house. Do y'all have one at your house?
Mhm. Yeah, he bought me one a long time ago because
Like,
I
to
did pull.
practice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it's a good
Because my
workout.
first thing would have been
Oh,
like,
it's a great
you're doing it for everybody
workout.
else, you're doing it for me too. Like,
Okay,
That's
so
a different question, though.
Like-
when I first started, I said, well, I don't know how to do this. Like, and one of the girls said to me, she said, slow down, honey. You are moving way too fast. Cause I was used to go-go dancing. So I'm moving with the beat, but that's not how you do it, apparently.
yeah.
So I always say it's like you're moving through Jello. You have to like move as if you're walking through a Jello mold. So slow.
Yep.
And and so I would practice on him. I'm like, is this good? And he's like, you need more of a leg drag here, and you need to do that. And he gave me so many pointers, and I love him so
Do you
much.
ever push you to the side and get on the pole in front of you and be like, no, this is how you should do it? And you'd be like, how the hell do you know how to do that of all people?
He gave me pointers on lap dances, not on pole work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to say, I know her partner too. He's awesome. He's hysterically snarky. He's funny, again, smart, and he's very observant. So I believe that his tips were probably
He's
really
incredible,
good.
and he's been to a fair number of strip clubs. I mean, we've been there together. He's been there apart, and I think that's unique too, because people say like, "Oh, if I were married to a woman, I wouldn't let her work here," and I'm like, "Oh, well, he doesn't decide what I do and don't do."
Yeah.
So there's a little independence there, but at the same time, he's fully aware of where I am and what I do because we have a good relationship.
Yeah, there's no point in like just creating animosity and stuff. Like, it's not like he gets final factor, but you definitely want someone who's proud of you and what you do, and vice versa. I think so.
Yeah.
Then when you told them, like, when you accepted the job, but you're like, no, I'm not doing back rooms. Was that an issue? Like, they
No,
don't require that of everybody.
so I didn't say that. I just accepted the job because the truth is that everybody's an independent contractor at this club.
Okay.
I know there's another club around here that they were doing something shady was happening. So they made all of the entertainers become employees now, which is really interesting. But at the clubs I've worked at, you were an independent contractor. You do what you want to do. If you want to sit and chat all night long at one table, you do that. If you want to take guys to the back rooms, that's totally fine too. When you go to the back rooms, you make money for the club, but you also up your rate. And
And you have to have like a card, right? When you're an entertainer. No, you don't have like a license to dance in Texas or anything like that.
There was some funny stuff, and I can't remember when. And I don't know that they did away, but yeah, there was something like that. And I just can't remember.
Or maybe
exactly
other states, because strip talk is like a huge thing on TikTok. So like tons of like. And I think a lot. There's like a good and bad side to it. So there's some that like really talk about like all the different like good parts and bad parts, and there's some who just show like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that they're making, which is like unrealistically like what most, I think it gives a very unrealistic picture. But they do talk about like, interestingly, like I know you have to like pay out the house. Did you have to like pay out or you didn't have to do that? Any of that? No,
you didn't.
So when you go into work, you pay an entry fee. So depending on when you go in, there's a certain fee. If you get in early, it might be free, or it might be $1, it might be $5. And if you go in during primetime hours, like if you're going to get there at 5 p.m. on a Saturday before anybody's really there, they don't have many entertainers, so they want you there. So it's, $1, $5, $10 to get in. And every hour as it gets later and later, the fees go up to enter. So if you want to come in at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, you're going to pay $40, $50, $60, $70.
Okay.
Who gets that money, by the way?
The club.
The club, not the personnel. So it's not distributed like tips. It's just, okay.
What about the DJ?
Gotcha.
So how I learned cash makes these places go around.
Right.
So if you pay people, they appreciate you and you work well together.
Right.
Tipping is not mandatory. But at the same time, I feel like it's the DJs don't get tipped. So they make a salary. So if you're tipping, if they're playing songs for you like, if they're putting you up on stage when there's people throwing lots of money on stage, you want to help them out. Same thing with the managers.
The DJ decides who goes on stage?
There's like a roll of all the entertainers in, and you just go one by one by one. But if I say like, oh my God, there's people throwing buckets of money on stage, put me up, he will. So yeah, of course I'm going to give him some money.
Yeah. I didn't know that they had control over that.
100%.
Yeah.
Likewise, if I don't want to go on stage, I just hand the DJ some dollars. And there's, usually the guy I'm sitting with will pay that money, and it's usually $20. Hey, skip me this round, and then I can just hang out with and make my money. So that's how. And again, at the end of the night, when you're leaving, you tip the manager. And it's based on what you make. So you may make $500 and you tip them $20, $40, $60. But it goes around. You share, because not everybody, because some of the girls leave there with thousands of dollars. And the thing is that's kind of, if you spread it around, then everybody is happy.
Yeah.
And
I think we'll talk about this like more in the next episode, but obviously like I'm sure there was a lot going on back in like wherever the girls like between different girls, and like, maybe like, was there like a house mom type of thing, someone who managed the girls, and like I think that like everyone really wants to kind of hear maybe more about like the drama that kind of went on behind the scenes of like between the dancers and like the back rooms and stuff. So all that kind of stuff. But
all right. Well, we'll hit that up, and we'll hit the backroom stuff.
We'll talk backroom stories. I've got another question for you about, especially from the DJ perspective kind of thing. Like, we've got, my God, we could do 5 episodes here.
Isn't she amazing? It's so much fun to have somebody on. Like, and I want to hear, I hope you'll share stories from others too, because I know a bunch of stories. So, all right. Well, good. So this is a great sort of teaser. Yeah. Right? Teaser. Maybe we can.
This was great foreplay.
Yeah.
Like you want the really juicy stuff? Then guess what? Next week is a whole nother episode.
Wait, but do our listeners have to tip us? Slide. We need that little
Maybe we should get
jar.
that Patreon thing running or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So, all right, you want to tell them where they can find us though?
Find us on Facebook and Instagram at Come With Us Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Come With Us Pod. You can also email us questions, comments, concerns. Basically, if you want a topic that we haven't talked about, but you want to, we've talked about having pregnant sex. We've talked about what else we've had plenty of people email in and say, hey, I'm curious about this, and we've tackled it. So comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. That's comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Like I said, love, hate, questions, a topic you want us to get to, anything. Yeah.
We're here. We want to hear from you. Perfect. And please follow us on social media. And also, please, if you haven't given us a review on Apple Podcasts, or maybe even Spotify now might take
I don't know if they do reviews, but definitely on Apple. Rate us 5 stars,
please.
leave us a review, all that fun stuff.
Yes, please. We need the love. Well, we want the love. We never get enough love. All right, I'm speaking for myself right now. But anyway, I'm Beth Darling, sexy genius from BethDarling.com. And thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Tina. And of course, thank you, Tabitha. And thanks for agreeing to do a second episode with us, because clearly we want the juicy stuff. So, all right. Thanks for joining us for Come With Us podcast, the podcast you need when you want the bare naked truth about love, sex, and relationships. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Come With Us podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Come With Us Podcast and send in your questions, comments, and confessions to comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, keep it fun, flirty, and naughty.